So you'd like to be an Airbnb host? Well, it's not as easy as you think it might be. So you'll hear a lot on YouTube and other social media platforms about how great being an Airbnb host is. But there's a lot that these gurus and people will not talk about. Well, what I'd like to do today is walk you through a true day in the life of what it is to be an Airbnb host, some of the problems that you'll come across, just so that you're as prepared as possible if you're looking to jump into Airbnb. So here's kind of how a day in the life of an Airbnb host starts. It starts with hitting that like button.
Stop it. Get some help.
Now on this channel, I talk continuously about how great it is to have an Airbnb business, be profitable, and have a great property. But I don't necessarily get to the behind the scenes footage, all the things that I do and everyone on my team does to make this business as profitable and run as smoothly as it possibly can. Now, I try to avoid this, but normally my day starts with checking my phone and looking if I've gotten any reservations overnight. Don't ask me why, but for some reason, my guests are always booking at around 12 to 3 a.m. It's very strange, but that's really when a lot of my guests will actually book. Now, responding to these reservations, a lot of people will tell you to automate those messages, and I think once I have more properties, I definitely will. But that very first message where I'm actually connecting with my guests for the very first time, I take that really seriously. And so I will write out a very heartfelt message, and if they're saying that they're staying for an anniversary or a birthday, I will wish them a happy birthday or happy anniversary when I accept their reservation. And that usually gets me and my guests off on the right foot. And the reason that I do this is because I truly believe that first impressions are everything. So if a guest has any sort of reservations about my property, I want to make sure that I handle that immediately rather than waiting for them to leave me a bad review. Now, the next thing that I will do is I will look at my pricing strategy. Previously, before I used software, this was something that I did on a daily basis. And so I would go in every single day, check my prices on vrbo, Airbnb, as well as booking.com to make sure that everything was in sync, but also make sure that if guests weren't booking, I would lower the price so that I could get some occupancy. And the reason that I did that was because those first reviews that you get are really important. So I wanted to make sure that I got as much occupancy in those first few months so that people could leave great reviews, and that would hopefully allow me to increase my prices in the future. Now, the way that I've automated this now is through pricing software. So the dynamic pricing software that I use is Price Labs. And that software allows me to automatically assign mins and maximums to any of my nightly prices, as well as make sure that those get updated on a daily basis. So really within a day in the life of an Airbnb property owner, the first thing is interacting with guests. The second is making sure that my software and everything is working and functioning and up on the site. And then really that third thing is interacting with guests. Any questions that they have about, hey, what can I do as far as heating up the cabin? How do I start the fireplace? Things like that. Now, a lot of this I try to cover within my actual guide. So the template that I use for any of my guides really is systematic so that guests can go in and quickly identify, okay, how do I change the mode on the hot tub, or how do I start the fireplace? But guests don't always look there first, and a lot of times they'll message you first. So you just have to be ready with those answers without getting frustrated or pointing your guests back to your guide and saying you should have looked here first. You just have to kind of roll with the punches with that. I heard this saying once that the size of your paycheck is directly proportional to how much conflict you're willing to stomach. And I think that really rings true for Airbnb hosts. And let me tell you, with Airbnb, you do have to stomach a lot. So that's it for today's video. I know it's pretty short and sweet. So I'd love to know, what other things are you dealing with on a day in, day out basis as an Airbnb host? Let me know in the comments. If you're interested in any of the software such as Price Labs or any other software I've talked about in this channel, those links are always in the description. And if you're thinking about jumping into Airbnb, feel free to use my link. When you do that, you'll actually receive a $40 payment as soon as your guest stays their first night. That's it for today, but I think you'll like this video here.